Cowboys fans, let me ask you something. When a team says it has long-term plans for a player, but there are no new contract talks, what exactly are we supposed to think? Yeah, that is the heart of this George Pickens conversation. And honestly, it is one of the most fascinating stories Dallas has right now. The transcript hits it perfectly when it calls this thing a conundrum, because that is exactly what it feels like. On one hand, Pickens was phenomenal last season. He gave Dallas 93 receptions, 1,429 yards, and 9 touchdowns, and the Cowboys clearly valued him enough to use the non-exclusive franchise tag. On the other hand, the tag is not the same thing as commitment. It buys time. It keeps options open. It tells the player, we want you here, but maybe not yet at your number. Aha! And that is where the emotion enters the room. If you are Pickens, you are probably saying, I earned it. If you are Dallas, you are probably saying, slow down, we still have to build this whole team. That is why this story matters so much beyond wide receiver. The Cowboys have 8 picks in the 2026 draft, including number 12 and number 20 in the first round. And Brian Schottenheimer has said the team has firepower going into the draft and knows it still has holes to fill. That is the bigger picture. Dallas is not making this decision in a vacuum. They are trying to keep a star receiver while also rebuilding a defense that still needs real help. And the transcript makes that point loud and clear, saying the Cowboys are desperate for help at multiple levels defensively. So now the question becomes, do you solve the receiver tension with money, or do you let it drag out while trying to fix the rest of the roster? That is where the Cowboys always become must-watch theater. The encouraging part is that the people inside the building are not talking like this is headed for divorce. Jerry Jones said they have long-term plans in mind for Pickens. Schottenheimer said GP loves it there and the team loves GP. Jerry also said Pickens is already working out and throwing with Dak, and Schottenheimer called that chemistry huge for year 2. That is not nothing. That matters. That tells you the football side is still alive and well even while the business side stays complicated. So my read is this. Yes, the tension is real. Yes, the price is high. Yes, the deadline is hanging over everything. But Dallas still has a path to turn this into a win. If they handle the cap smartly, if they use those 2 first-rounders to hit defense hard, and if they eventually lock Pickens in without wrecking the future, then Cowboys fans could look back on this as the moment the front office actually balanced urgency with patience. What do you think? Does Jerry finish the deal, or does this become the next big Cowboys contract storm? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe.